So that open-mindedness, that willingness, and honestly remaining that way was my only hope. That was my only hope. Okay? Those three principles. Once again, I'll mention the principles a lot. Because you know something? There's so many people in recovery that work in the steps. They don't even understand the principles. So what are you working? Anyways, let me let that alone for a minute. Okay? So open-mindedness, willingness, and honestly remaining that way was the only hope I had. Because maybe, just maybe, there's something greater than myself that may be able to save my butt. Just maybe. Okay? Yeah. You know, and I thought, you know, I knew the God of my understanding. But he revealed, no. You've been playing God since the get-go. That's why you've been in the mess you've been in all your life. Period. So I'm sitting in a meeting, right? I'm sitting in a meeting during my second step. And this is where most of my resentments came from. Most of my resentments came from this. See, I thought you were thinking what I thought you were thinking, that you were thinking about me, and I'd be pissed. I got a resentment on you, and you haven't even opened your mouth yet. Okay, that's how sick I was. I'd be sitting in a meeting, I'd be thinking that you were thinking what I thought you were thinking, that you were thinking about me, and there's a resentment. And the God of my understanding just came to me in the meeting and revealed to me, you know what that person is thinking. You God? That was the beginning. That was my first awareness in that second step. That was years ago. That was my first awareness. Just like that fighting the obsession. I didn't know that could be a reservation. That was a major reservation. I had to get clear on that. You know, I thought it was my mom dying or something. No. That too, but not like this one. Not like fighting the addiction and thinking I'm going to win again. That was major. Okay? So the second one was understanding that I don't know what you're thinking. And he proved to me how sick I really was and how in need I was to keep open-minded and willing. That just maybe a power greater than myself, him, could give me the hope I need to save my sorry butt. You know? So once again, the second step, okay, and that first reveal, and I could go on and on and on and on and on, you know what I mean? But the newcomer is the most important person. You want to know how I have acres of land in my own home and I'm doing what I love? No, you want to hear how I got there, man. So you could go get your own, whatever that may look like. I don't know. Does it look like picking coconuts? Does it look like being a brain surgeon? Anything in between and anything beyond that? I don't know. Those are thoughts way too grand for me. But it's the tools. I never wanted what somebody else had. Sorry, that never worked for me. I never wanted what somebody else had. I wanted the tools that they used to get to where they got to in life. That's what I want. So I could get to where I need to go get to in life. And understand the spiritual gifts that I've been given from the God of my understanding. And cultivate that. See, the principles are beautiful. Because the principles are forever non-changing. Okay? The principles are forever non-changing. However, how they flower up in us is completely different than the next guy. Because it leads us to our spiritual journey. And in that journey, we start receiving gifts that have been in us all along. And start getting with that. Even if we painted an apple, the same exact apple, we wouldn't paint it the same way. You know? So, the second step, honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. Oh, why am I not getting into a drug log? Because, like I said, 40 years ago I picked up my drug, 38 years ago I shot it, and I've been exhausting jails, institutions, and death, literally, okay, for that amount of time. So why am I not sharing the drug log? Yeah, man, and yeah. Why am I not doing? Because my allegiance is with the God of my understanding and recovery. and the program. My allegiance is no longer with the addiction. The most one-sided allegiance I ever had in my life, and I had it for a half a century. One-sided. The addiction doesn't give a rat's behind about me. Okay? My allegiance is no longer, I don't glorify the addiction. So you will not hear a drug-a-log from me. You'll hear me, dipping in and out of the past and doing some genuine reflects on that. That shit was so toxic, that's all I need, is to reflect on that. But my allegiance is with the God of my understanding. No longer with the addiction. When by way of choice I make it my own or not. The God of my understanding. I make by way of choice. I make my own or not. When I do not do the will of the God of my understanding, listen up. When I not do the will of the God of my understanding, by default, I'm in relapse mode. And I'm already serving the will of the addiction. By default. And when I pick up the set and stick it in my arm, that's the end of the relapse. That ain't the beginning of the relapse. I've been relapsing all along. Second set principles. Honesty, open-mindedness, and honestly remaining that way was my only hope that something greater than myself could restore me to sanity. Majors. Moving into step 3, I needed that. Like the revealing in the meeting, I thought you were thinking that, getting resentments about that. I'm going to just go into what was originally revealed, because this recording is for the newcomer. Okay? So the third step, since I did the writing, the reading, the writing, the answering the questions, because my fellowship got questions. If your fellowship ain't got questions, maybe you need to sit down and write some. Get a group conscience. Always group conscience. Major group conscience. Bigger the group conscience, the more the God in that group will be expressed. Third step. What are the principles in the third step? Faith, trust, and commitment. Faith, trust, and commitment. Ain't no man showed me faith, trust, and commitment. And I mean man/woman. I never learned faith, trust, and commitment from no human being. The God of my understanding showed me faith, trust, and commitment for once. Because I became open-minded and willing. Those second step principles, and I pulled principle out of that first step, and I honestly became open-minded and willing to him. He showed me faith, trust, and commitment that I now show in him through actual application of these principles. Because I walk through seasons, and I stay open-minded, willing, and honest to walk through those seasons. And every once in a while, I end up in real pure joy. What happens in those seasons? Seasons happen within those seasons. I experience emotions and thoughts and challenges and fears that I got to keep getting back to that first step and honestly accept and surrender to the God of my understanding so I can keep moving through. Then I pop out at some real joy. Not some manufactured crap. Not some manufactured stuff. I always thought I manufactured some joy, you know what I mean? The set, the this, the but. Nah. This joy I'm talking about can only come from him. Period. Can only come from him. Can't come from nowhere else. And his character is these principles. See, somebody said, well, who is your God? You understand? Let's clear it up right now. The God of my understanding, if he hears his name drop one more time, he's going to vomit. Okay? He let me know that his name's dropped so much without his character being shown, he's about to vomit. Primarily. Let's talk about profound, the reasons why he's about to vomit. Not only is his name dropped all the time with no character being shown by that person spewing his name out, his name is dropped in direct opposition of who he is. No, I'll speak the God of my understanding's name through character and being. Character and being. I gotta take a break for a minute because it's interesting. I film about 10,000 feet up. I'm always filming around 10,000 feet up. I don't know, 10-1, 9,700, maybe I'm at 9,700. But when you're at 9,700 feet, you could experience seasons all the time. And it's funny because it's just starting to snow a little bit and it's beautiful out. Anyways, yeah, it's beautiful 10,000 feet up. I have to admit, I love living out here. Anyways, getting back to the God of my understanding. Okay, so I want to just clear that up. I'll speak his name through character. Because, man, he let me know. This is my experience. Okay, this is my relationship. Personal. Don't go dropping my name. Live my character. Okay, behave and live me. And that way you'll show who I am. I just wanted to clear that up. So faith, trust, and commitment. I learned that from him. Okay? Faith, trust, and commitment. It was the beginning of intimacy with him because this is what happened. I was sitting outside my front porch. God, am I understanding? Because I'm, up to this point, I'm doing a lot of thank you, oh, thank you. I didn't know what gratitude was really at that point. I've heard it. I haven't incorporated. I'm about, 4 or 5 months in now. Okay? You know what I mean? I worked the first, second. I'm in my third step. I'm answering the questions, And while I'm answering those questions after I read the literature, I'm sitting on my front porch about 4:35 in the morning. Because the guys I was living with, I was already moving away. That's why the steps are important. To get the God of your understanding is important. The 2 guys I walked in recovery were there for a different purpose to me. Although we walked in the same, there was nothing different. There's nothing unique about us. When we get into recovery, and if we start working those steps, because we can't count on the fellowship, whatever your fellowship might be. I don't care what your thing is. Sex, they got an A for that. They got an A for everything. If your thing drugs, alcohol, they got A's for that. Okay, codependent relationships, they got A's for that. Gambling, A's for that. Workaholics, A's for that. There's an A for everything. The fellowship can't be repurposed to fix me. The fellowship is crucial, don't get me wrong. But the program's what? The 12 steps. I don't care what fellowship you're in. I don't care what 12-step fellowship you're in. The program's the 12 steps. So that's what I'm talking about today. The fellowship is important. I cannot do the fellowship without doing steps, because I'll surely use again. And I can't do the steps without any actual application of them. So I can't do the steps in the closet and never see nobody, because what does that look like? Brutal isolation. Brutal isolation. That brings what? Pain and despair. Pain, despair, brutal isolation. Increases the pain, increases despair, brutal isolation. So the steps, my first actual application of these principles are done with the people I'm in recovery with. Usually at the meetings, I start airing some things out. So don't get me wrong. However, nothing outside of ourselves will ever be sufficient enough to keep us from active addiction. I don't care if it's hospitals, religion. I don't care if it's medicines. I don't care what it is. I don't care what it is. I think I just seen a mountain lion over there, but I don't know. That was pretty quick. That's why I got this. I don't care what it is. If it's outside of ourselves, we can't repurpose that. Never did I say that religion and medicine and doctors and psychiatries and therapists and counselors. I never said not to do those. They just won't be sufficient enough. They're outside of ourselves. We need principles. The character of the God of my understanding. Principles. In actual application in our lives every day, throughout the day, just for today. And get some lifestyle up out of those bad boys. Then just for today, we stay out of active addiction. Faith, trust, and commitment. Third step principles. Faith, trust, and commitment. First step. Third step principles. Strike that. Third step principles. So, the God of my understanding comes down to me. Come back to it. On my porch. How can I not? It's one of the profound times of my recovery. He said, Z, look, stop. Stop. Stop the hallelujahs. Stop the thank yous. Stop. You want to thank me? Okay? Do you want to thank me? I was like, well, yes. Pray only for the knowledge of my will, right? And my power to be carried out in you. And do it. And when you get ecstatic about that, pray once again for the knowledge of my will and my power to be carried out in you. And do it. There could be no greater gratitude towards me than doing the knowledge of my will in which I'm revealing in you. And then doing it. You know, and a few days later, a week later, it was 2 weeks maybe, it was years ago. Somewhere within a couple weeks, he taught me intimacy. The beginnings. I'm still learning intimacy and everything else, but that's the almost outrageous, beautiful thing about recovery. There's no lid. Just keep learning, getting deeper, and life becomes fuller. So the intimacy was what I had to get. Well, you see, I couldn't get with that third step if I didn't understand the honesty, the acceptance, and the surrender of the first. And the open-mindedness and the willingness and the hope. Hope is beautiful. It's one of the principles that morph. Hope morphed into faith, where hope is a desire. Faith is a complete trust and confidence in the God of my understanding. Not complete. I walk into situations. I'll get back to that. I walk into situations with low courage and low faith and low confidence. And I walk out of them because I was willing to walk through his commands. With, I don't know if complete faith, it sounds too much like perfect, but a level of faith and confidence that I didn't have. And then he moves me into another situation where my faith and confidence is low. And I gain great faith and great confidence because I'm willing to be there. I'm willing to stay open-minded and willing, okay, and honestly be an acceptance to what it is that I'm doing and surrendering that to him. And here comes the faith and confidence, and then I moved into something else. Getting back to intimacy. In the next video, I'll return about the intimacy.